spider spins her web. Arachne, shrewd, sneaky, devious. How similar the intricate design of the web, which is meant to trap her prey, is to that of the labyrinth. King Minos' labyrinth, I mean, of course, which held a big surprise at its core, nothing less than the Minotaur. A king has power, but he has obligations. In earlier times, he was sacrificed after ruling for a while for the benefit of his people. He was the offering itself, the highest of offers, sacrificed for the collective. King Minos was not a generous soul, and his baseness manifested in the form of the Minotaur. Deep inside the web is the inner truth. Daedalus designed the web. He realized that to delve inward, meander centripetally, one could escape, find a way out, disengage his spirit from the claustrophobic closure, the closti of destiny's thread. To the fates, the Mires realize, as they weave our destiny, that the weaving goddess, the female who holds the distaff and the spindle, has also the power to grant to mankind the means to extricate himself from the sticky, clinging, repulsive, and terrifying inner demons and fears of our unconscious. The snakes that crawl out from Medusa's head, which confuse the mind and paralyze decision or action and leave us literally petrified. Wield the mitre, the distaff and the spindle, and master your thoughts. Conquer your demons. Penelope weaves by day, loosens by night. Anima to Odysseus, rendering knowledge from within. The enchantresses Circe and Calypso draw him into the web, but what goes inward must emerge outward. And what of Ariadne? Her name, Ari Agnos, most holy, because she too was a weaving goddess figure, united with Theseus. She helped him to kill the Minotaur and led him out of the labyrinth. Yes, two minds are always better than one. Confusion is dispersed. One, after all, who weaves clothes to wear is beyond any law of natural selection. Now we shall hear Monteverdi's famous aria, and it's called Ariadne's Lament. She was unconsolable when Theseus left her. However, the pain of the female figure who has united with the male always can be interpreted, however, as a form that she too has reached completion as an individual. She's not just an object to be sacrificed for the hero, but she has actually united her energy, given it unto the hero, and he can go about, performing heroic acts. But so can the woman, and we will see that later. Lasciatemi morire needs no translation. Lasciatemi morire. distaff, fleeing the Tyrian tyranny with sacks of gold, escaping death, she reached Cyprus with her followers and continued to seek a new land in Carthagena. On the coast of North Africa, the Berber king granted her and her exile following only as much land as could be encompassed by an ox hide. But the shrewd Dido cut the ox hide into fine thread-like strips long enough to encircle a nearby hill. Thus the hill was named Byrsa, which is Greek for ox hide. It prospered, of course, and became the powerful Carthage. Aeneas, Homer says, was cousin to Hector, nephew of Priam. You can Google it or ask our experts. I don't know. Virgil obviously wanted to emphasize that somehow the Romans did receive the light of culture from the Greeks. I mean, he wanted to himself. That's the feeling I got, so I accept that. So he too must flee, and he travels to Carthage into Dido's arms. He is destined for greatness, but must learn to weave his own destiny and master his fate. Into Dido's web he falls, only to emerge a hero. Dido lights her funeral pyre, whose flames transmute her pain into eternal energy. And now we will hear Purcell's great Dido's Lament, and it's in English, so 4 chapters.
On the
wanted a son. And when Atalanta was born, he left her on a mountain to die. Here we see the rejection of the daughter by the father. That is to say, the patrist battling out with the matrist values, creating strong influences in the female to understand and come to terms with the father's value system. What happened to Atalanta? A bear suckled her in the wild, reared to hunt and fight. She pledged an oath of virginity as a priestess to the goddess Artemis. A great huntress, she is said to have killed the Caledonian boar. She refused to be united to a man. Atalanti. That means in Greek, totally balanced or unwavering. She won't be moved or persuaded. So, because she believed that she was by nature perfectly balanced with the virtues that she had already cultivated, both masculine and feminine, she agreed to marry only if her suitors could outrun her in a foot race. Whoever lost surrendered his life. The original Turandot, for those of you who know the opera, cold-hearted version. But one man came along who received the aid of Aphrodite, who certainly knew how to appreciate the male of good beauty. And Aphrodite gave him 3 golden apples, and he threw them out during the course of the race. And he threw them out in front of the fleet-footed Atalanta. She stopped for each one to contemplate its mystical form, the wholeness, the completeness, the melding of yin with yang, the androgynous sphere. And she tarried. She lost the race, gained knowledge. Myth has it that she was the only female to travel along with Jason and the Argonauts. She jumped onto the Argo after it set sail in order to follow Meleager. Heroic woman, seeker of the golden fleece, balancing masculine and feminine within her, she became worthy to pursue the spiritual. Now we will hear Handel's aria, Care Selve, it's from his opera Atalanta, and the words are, I come to hunt for my heart's desire. Threw yourself into the dark seas, thereby uniting your music with the tides of time. Engulf us within this surge of endless harmony. Make fair the winds that blow as we set sail across the seas of history, myth, legend, and art on our odyssey to the land of the setting sun, the legacy of our ancient forefathers. And now we will perform Gounod's Sappho, her suicide aria, and the words are, "O immortal lyre, you can no longer console my pain. I have no solution but to throw myself into the ocean."
My God, I can't turn that coloring nice.
Ah,
épuisé. singing roles like that. Just cut loose on them. So, thus we embark on our odyssey. A lecture more like a browsing session with links. Stream of consciousness, freely associative. Through the history of opera, a little bit of mythology, a bit of classical drama. If art can be said to be the documented history of the development of the collective psyche of mankind, then everything you hear today will present some realm of unconscious knowledge that comes to consciousness through the artistic experience. 10 years Odysseus devoted to patrist goals, exhibiting his masculine virtues, brave, stalwart, strategic, inventive. He has been called Polymechanos. Eftaliotis translated that as Polypragos. Homer's words actually in ancient Greek are Andramienepen musa polytropon. Sing to me, O muse, of a man of many guises, many means. I hope my translation's acceptable to the experts that we've heard the last couple of days. It's something indicating, anyway, that he had a mind full of ideas and machinations. But these gifts really saw him through the next 10 years when he embarked on the arduous trip to Ithaca. In other words, to understanding his unconscious. He needed to learn about his anima, to experience the matrist values and goals, to examine his psyche, and his experiences are archetypally symbolic. We see the pole of opposites, matrist versus patrist, masculine versus feminine, animus versus anima. Always the Hegelian thesis-antithesis combining to make a synthesis, which of course contains within it the very seeds of the new ideas that will once again separate. And they'll battle it out once again. To use post-Jungian terminology, a touch of Joseph Campbell, it seems that to achieve self-knowledge, one must reconcile these opposing forces, assimilate them, process them, and make them work together, much like Plato's image of the charioteer reining in the black and white horse until they are bonded in their efforts. Only then can there be inner harmony. The unexamined life is not worth living. You know that. One must delve into the dark night of the soul, however, in order to individuate. Such is Zoe. What is love? Eros. Socrates asked. How can one explain man's need for love and his all-consuming urge to find a mate? Many at the symposium answered, but Aristophanes perhaps described it best. The story goes like this. Once there was a perfect creature. It had 4 legs, 4 arms, and 2 heads. And they all melded together in one perfect circle, and it rolled around in a ball, with all limbs locked in an eternal embrace. It looked a little bit like the yin-yang symbol. It was totally self-sufficient, totally whole, totally perfect. It was the androgyne, a union of the female and the male principle. But like all things completely satisfied with itself, it refused to recognize anything higher than itself, and this displeased Zeus greatly, since it refused to worship him. Well, it set a bad precedent, so Zeus could not allow this to continue, and he decided to cut down this perfect creature to size, down to half, to be exact, and the creature, after all, had to learn humility. And so it happened that he separated the androgyne into Andras and Gyneka. Each new creature had 2 legs and 2 arms and 1 head, and it walked about awkwardly instead of rolling and bouncing about freely, not subject to the force of gravity in all directions. And it would spend the rest of its existence searching for and longing for its other half, feeling incomplete, insecure, just not quite whole, if you get my meaning. But if, just if, it could meet its other half, the half that he originally belonged to, and which originally belonged to him, if the 2 halves could unite once again, if they could become whole, they could regain the ecstasy that was once theirs, the completeness that made them unique and apart from all other creatures. And so, man and woman, alone, sick, weak, wander endlessly about the earth, searching for their other half in order to experience a higher state of being, which was once their birthright by all that is just. Strange, isn't it, that we must be whole in order to find our other half? And then the wholeness of the halves in concentric circles culminates in the age-old symbol of wholeness, the mandala of completion, love transcendent, not the end, but the beginning of a new spirit, a greater soul, larger than life, the spirit of greatness that spurs man on to the task which is greater than his own self-fulfillment, union with the spirit of the collective. The highest values of all humanity are now become the altar on which to sacrifice oneself, to let one's blood mingle with the flow of energy of ideas. What, and all this without pain? Death always precedes rebirth. The pain of death brings ecstasy, loss brings discovery, and punishment brings salvation. But we've gone too far. Let us examine love. We have to find love first. The gods give us our gifts and then they envy us. The greater you are, the more you'll suffer. Cosmic balance, they call it. Sometimes, though, we mortals surpass the gods. Orpheus knows all about that. He knew a lot. He was nearly omnipotent because he knew how to influence all beings. He plucked at their heartstrings. He knew how to tune in to their vibrations, and thus his music penetrated into the depths of their psyches. He made them dance to his tune. He lost Eurydice in this life, in this material existence. Envious gods sent the poisonous snake to bite her, and she was taken down to Hades. Death is the victor. But hold, Orpheus follows her into the underworld and turns Hades upside down. The power of his music changes the law, the irreversible, unmerciful, absolute laws of existence. Written in stone, shattered into myriad pieces. Music is the law now. Pluck at the lyre and rearrange the strings of the universe. Hades, you reversed yourself. Take her back to the upper world, you say. But could Orpheus be satisfied with this? Don't look at her, he said. Let your glances not unite. Return to the world with your present knowledge of love. Return to the biological, the material, as you have already experienced it and known it.
Okay.
Not Orpheus. The glance he gave, thank you. The glance he stole, the meeting of their eyes was the moment of union. A higher consciousness, rebirth of the androgyne. completion, wholeness, a spiritual level beyond the laws of life and death, Orpheus and Eurydice, their love, their union conquers not just death, but the whole mundane cycle. Brave, brave Orpheus, bravo to you, for you have not lost Eurydice, you have melded your souls, you have gained knowledge, a new level of being which lies beyond death.